For almost an entire year now, I've been putting a new video on this channel every Tuesday morning. Occasionally, like last week, I'm very excitable, very passionate about something, and I need to put it out there in a video for you. Other times, I'm less inspired, but I know I need to put something good out there because Tuesday comes every week. So when that situation arises, a lot of times I'll just go to the shelf behind me or maybe my iPhone where I have the audible.com app, and I'll talk about a book, which, now that I think about it, is really good advice. When you're just looking for something and you need to be inspired and you're just kind of in the middle and you want to reach for Candy Crush or some other, I don't know, whatever app-based game you're going to play, pick up a book, even if it's just for 5 minutes. It'll make you think differently. It'll remind you of what you know to be true. It will inspire you to do that thing that you do best. And I don't care if that's selling. I don't care if that's just being a parent. I don't care if it's just being a partner. That'll make you better. It'll certainly do you more good than just passing idle time on the game or the app of the week. But this week, I wanted to tell you about a book that it goes back a long time with me. It's this book here. It's called The Little Red Book of Selling, and it's by Jeffrey Gitomer. It's the best-selling book on selling of all time. I wanted to tell you about this book because I have kind of an interesting story with it. I was almost a year into my sales career, and I really didn't have a whole lot of direction. The hiring manager who promised that he would be able to train me had some things happen in his business shortly after I arrived that really prevented him from being able to spend a lot of time with me. And I decided that in my first year, after my first year in sales, I would decide whether or not I wanted to stay involved or go back to my other career, the career I was trained in. And it was coming up on about 10 or 11 months, and I really wasn't all that satisfied. I went to a sales training session, and the leader of that particular session suggested The Little Red Book of Selling. It was pretty new at that point, maybe not even a year old. Well, I had $20 burning a hole in my pocket and a Borders books on the way home, if you can remember those. And I picked it up. Now, the funny part is, it was forever before I actually finished reading it. I probably bought 5 or 6 copies of it before I actually finished reading it, because every time I'd get another chapter in, I would be so excited I'd have to give it to somebody. I've given more copies of this book away than any other book that I've ever read or ever even been exposed to. It's really an amazing book because it's about selling, but not about the tactics or the techniques that you would associate with a selling book or a book on sales process. This is a book about principles. This is a book about understanding why your customer is buying, creating an environment or an atmosphere to make them want to buy, telling great stories, using humor, understanding that you're trying to build a relationship and ultimately loyalty with your customers, not just manipulate or twist their arms into doing something that they didn't want to do. No, I'm sorry. They wanted to, they just didn't know they wanted to yet, right? That book was the first of many that I read that really made me understand that I didn't need to change who I was in order to be a salesperson. And when I took those lessons, when I took those principles, and I actually put them into play, they opened up an entirely new world for me. I had this preconception, like many people who accidentally fall into sales, that you have to be someone that you don't feel comfortable being in order to be good at it. And that's not the case. What this book taught me was that I could be the most genuine version of myself and be the most successful salesperson I could possibly be. And that's a totally different paradigm shift, but one I believe you can understand. So now, it's 12 years later, 13 years later. Oh, it depends on where you're watching this, right? But it's sometime later, and I can't imagine doing anything but selling. That's the kind of power this book has. That's the reason it's sold so many copies. It's the reason it's done so well for so long. It gave me the power and the opportunity and the direction to think about what I was doing for a living in a different manner, under a different light, and made me reconsider what I really had to do. Now I'm going to make you an offer. Send me an email with Little Red Book Offer in the subject line. You'll get a free 30-minute consultation with me and an autographed copy of this book. It changed the arc of my selling career, and I know it will yours. While you're at it, why don't you subscribe to this video channel? You know you like watching it. I also put out a newsletter every week. It's totally free as well. It's all about free stuff today. It goes out every Sunday morning, and I know you'll find a ton of value in it. Until next time, go out and be great.